That was dope. My name is Jessica Holyfield, and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at a Patreon request. Shout out to Chris for the request. It is going to be of Astro's Baby. I have not taken a look at any Astro content. I think the only time I've really heard a track was way back in the day when they did a mini, I think it was like a mini drama, and there was a song called To Be Continued, I think. I really liked that song. I think that's the only one I know, and I don't think there was a dance for it either. So I'm very intrigued on this. I also know one of the members is no longer with us, and so we're gonna enjoy the dance practice, the choreography video, as well as the music video, and be able to appreciate what we are able to see here. So let's go ahead and get started. Is it who's going to be the center placeholder? That's what my gut tells me it is. Yeah. That's cute. That's funny. There's sparkles on it. That was really cute. Wow. Ooh, the snap was really nice there. Nice. Nice. That was dope. Wow, I can't wait to talk about this one. There's so many little things in it that we can really appreciate. Oh yeah. Nice. Nice little Kai Bai Bo moment in the middle. Wow. That was fantastic. It really was. There's so many different elements that kind of just, how you saw them put together, it just made you go, huh, that's really well done and thorough in how they chose to interpret certain add-ons, certain fixed point choices, isolations, syncopation. I'm very much a fan of this. We have a performance version to watch, so let's watch it. Normally when you see an official version where they can do multiple cuts, it's safer to assume it's going to be cleaner. But so far what I've noticed with a lot of groups, that's not always the case. Because dance practices, sometimes the best run happens in the dance practice space. I say that all the time because it's true. Fun. They're also an even number here, which I think is super cool. How they structure the formations. Of course, some of it's kind of predictable and having to sacrifice a member for the sake of another one being a focal point. But they also make some really fun choices like what we saw there. There's like a subtle center split, so it doesn't feel off balance. Nice. Yeah, I think out of the two, this one's awesome in essence and vibe. Helps me understand what they're going for. I like the dance practice a lot, because I got to appreciate that looks so dope in the dance practice because of the fixed cam. And you can really see how isolated that was. Oh, fun. Yeah, I like how he took it and branched it out like that. This is Cha Eun-woo, right? Because I've seen him in quite a few dramas at this point. So he's an actor like Ro-won from SF9. He like gives off that energy similar within his group. Yeah! Fun. That was fun. Love it. Music video. Boom, right here. Here we go. That's really fun, seeing all this with the taps on that. I will say though, if I was put in this position, like this first person position and they're all looking at me like this in admiration or in like, does that make sense? I don't know how comfortable I personally would feel. I wouldn't be able to, I would be like, thank you. You know, I wouldn't call it cringy. I'm just trying to think, if I was in this position, would I want them to be really engaged with what I was saying? Because I'm like, you don't really know me. And is what I'm saying that interesting for you? Or is my presence really that captivating? I personally don't think so for me, but... I like the colors, and they're all wearing shirts that complement the color of the room. I love that. That's fun. That was fun. Right on the walls. Let's go. Said thank you. Oh, yeah! That was fun. Everyone gets their own room. Are we dreaming the same thing? Is it? I don't think it's possible to, can you really make popcorn in a blender? I don't think you can. Maybe that's not a blender. Is that a popcorn maker that looks like a blender? Now I'm curious. I want to know what that product is to see if I need it in my life. I mean, microwaves are cool, but let's pick something that, you know, most people don't have in their home and make it a whole spectacle. I wonder if Eminem sponsored this because he had a little moment there. I like the freeze, and I like that they cut it right as he got up, because I don't know, is he able to hold it? Because it looked like a regular freeze, not a baby freeze. That was fun. Love the slow-mo. There it is. I was wondering if we were going to go back to it. He went. That's fun. Okay, I was wondering what the D stood for. Dream. Got it. It's the album. Makes sense. Cool. Yeah, so, I mean, in a nutshell with the music video, just as a side note, I mean, when you put yourself, because they asked us to be in the first person perspective, if they gifted me with all of these, if I didn't buy them and they just gave them to me, I mean, I would be very appreciative, but all of them are smiling at me with admiration. I don't know why. You see what I'm wearing right now, right? I got my hoodie. Maybe they like my National Geographic ball cap. Thank you. I got it. Not on sale. I wish. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I do have some degree of social anxiety. So, putting myself in this type of position, I would not feel... I don't know how I would receive this. I think I would be very uncomfortable and I would feel very nervous, I think, and which could be what their intention is. Who knows? But anyway, let's go back to the dance because that's what we're here for. But they really did a good job. All that to say, though, they did a fantastic job on the believability of making somebody feel however they're supposed to feel in first person. I felt that. So kudos to whoever was directing that. We're here for the dance. So we're going to go ahead and go from the top of this. Cool. So like I said, I mean, firstly, I really think it's very funny that we have little sparkles over who was selected. I think that was fun. We do start, this is interesting because this is your technical center, right? And I have talked about with even number groups, you do end up sacrificing somebody in the back whenever you have a feature. And you do see that throughout this. I mean, it's kind of inevitable at a certain point when you have an even number. So, but here you see that it doesn't feel off balance, even though it's not symmetrical. Reason why is because you technically have two people split center, and that's why. Now, if you wanted it to really look like symmetrical, then you would move him to right here, and then it would be truly symmetrical. But I do appreciate this type of attempt to have a split center, but it's very clear that I do have a feature, which would be Moonbin, right? Which is right here. Okay, so I only know two members. One of us because he's an actor, and then Moonbin, unfortunately, not for the best reasons of why I am aware of him. And I really hate that. And a part of me wishes that I was able to appreciate and enjoy this group prior to his passing. That's how I felt with Shiny as well, but they were a Gen 2 group, so I was naturally able to a little bit more there as a fan of just the Gen 2 era. Compared to here, I was not involved in K-pop nearly as much when they were very, very active. And so if you are a fan of Astro, I would love to hear your thoughts too, just about the group's dynamics of how they are as people, because I like learning about groups and what makes why you're a fan, because obviously you're a fan because they're awesome. I just like to know more personal stuff in that regard, so I can appreciate them as I do future videos, because this will probably not be the last time I look at Astro, which is really exciting for me. This is a great choreo. I really, really like it. From the top here, this subtlety. Okay, so you hear the little soda pop in the beginning, which, you know, is very fitting for the music video. For this case, you wouldn't really have much to go off of unless they had a little soda standing instead of the standee, but I really like the interaction in the beginning, so I say this was a great choice of who they picked. Subtlety over, I like the snap. They take it and snap it over. So these types of things are doing a fantastic job. The moment you bend an arm and it's not hanging out at a 90 degree, a 180, or you're not doing a 360 rotation, you know, you run into a problem very quickly on getting everybody on the same angle. They did a fantastic job cleaning this because everybody's on the same page to the degree that their elbow needs to be on their body, because everybody's different heights, to where that snap is supposed to be taking place. So look, even my computer filter agrees. This gets a thumbs up. I really like that. They take it, they snap it down really nice, boom, nice accent, cross, ding, ding. They expand it out. Notice I put it at 0.75. There's a lot of little intricate moments I want to make sure I catch. They snap, ding, ding, and notice they go with the snap action. They do a nice little transition to switch the feet to the back. They take it, nice little travel up is what we're about to see. Bum, bum, and notice they move the head to the side to make it a moment as we travel it up instead of just tapping, ding, ding, ding. And then from here, they're going to take it and switch it over. I really like that choice, ding, 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 ding. And then they drop it back down. I love just this right here. Makes it very captivating and different than just traveling your arm. This was very one-dimensional. This adds variety, it adds depth to what you're doing, and it feels more intentional because you have other body parts that are influenced, but it's a collective influence, which I really like. And right there, dee-dee, nice little shoulder. I think it's either the chest or the shoulder for that. Hitting it through, ding. Notice for this, it also makes this part right here more complementary because they already involved the head subtly earlier. So when they do more of this, it feels like it's continuing on the pathway because we've already established that the head is involved in this traffic pattern, which I really like. Switching it through, boom, boom, and it's like we're about to do a little arm wave, but we don't. We take it and we're just going through the joints and making them their own focal points. Take it through, ding, ding, and they reset. Really like that choice. They snap it through, and everybody goes nice and slow, and that shh. Then you have one of them, I think it's Moonbin, right? And he is the one who accents out, so everybody has to really make sure they're nice and, what is it? There's tension within it, but it's still accented. So I really like that they build it up. And the focus, I always love it whenever you can tell that they've trained where their focus is supposed to be, because it makes it so much easier to know who my feature is going to be. Love that. Because remember, I only know 2 out of the 6 members. So I'm coming at it more from a spectator lens, or somebody who just looks at content, knowing that they're people, of course, and they are humans and they do a fantastic job as humans. But I don't know, based off of voice, this, that, or the other, or their costuming, who's going to be the feature at any given time. So the choreographer, that's part of their job, is making sure that how the formations and the levels, and when it's somebody's time to be featured, it's not so predictable where it feels like I'm just watching every other routine, but it also needs to be, I want to be able to see the feature through their presence and through how they're engaging with the other members, as well as how they're showcasing themselves physically within the feature, as opposed to just blending in, if that makes sense. Because this is, you know, it's nice for everybody to be a group, which is what you want, but I like to be able to very clearly see, my feature in this moment is Moonbin, right? So I like how he takes it around, and then from here, really clean add-on, love it. We'll notice where you have Moonbin start, and then you have two joined in. You take it with a little snap. I like that. They keep it nice and strong. They have to probably use that lat to keep that arm up there without the heavy fatigue. Then that was a really nice with the downbeat, adding on with the next group towards the back, which is great. Hitting it through, and notice that you have movement, add a little head down. I like that. It makes it feel like you're going subtly deeper too, which is cool. Nice little scoop down, hit, nice little kick. This little kickball change, like a kickball change to switch over. Look, even here, angles pretty in check for the most part. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, but those that were on stage left had her on the same angle, so I felt that there was intention there when in the practice. So the subtlety here, little do-doom-doom, syncopated just on even, just the, gotta get some, catch some air, right? Looks great. Subtlety here, 1 and 2 and, looks super fun. Little subtlety, notice that Moonbin, it places that arm behind him, it does a nice little pas de bourrée action. Everybody keeps it down. Theirs is out, his is more towards the back. Then he brings it out. He has a more modified approach, which is very practical when you're a feature. I think it's always encouraged because it is easier for me to clock, you're the outlier, I think you're my feature. It's not good if somebody who's not supposed to be the feature is doing something or modifying something when they're supposed to be doing what everybody else is, if that kind of makes sense. So this was really nice, really good. Notice we do have one of our members kind of sacrifice in the back. You can't really see what they're doing, but very quick on the transitions. We don't really hang out in a formation for too long, and that's why those types of cases is fine. Now here he goes, he rotates around, and then we have Cha Eun-woo. Nice subtlety, everybody poses, super fun. And then we have Moonbin joined in the back corner, which makes it feel complete now, right? So that's a fun, I like having, you know, when a new formation reveal and it kind of feels like there's an obvious incomplete puzzle piece spot, and then you see them travel and then he fits in nice and beautifully, so it feels complete. I really like that. But once again, you do have, sorry, Eun-woo, I just marked your face, but you notice in the back there's somebody else covered. So that's really my only thing. That's the only downside when you have an even number, but I like even numbers because it does force the choreographer and it forces the members different ways of creating symmetry, balance, and it does force you to use your levels more, which, you know, I don't mind. I think it's cool, and I like the conscious effort of them debuting as an even number, I think. Hopefully, hopefully I'm right, but anyway. But like the subtlety there, everybody goes nice dig into placing the weight from the chest, rolling it down to the hips to create a nice ball change action to transition. Eun-woo, right? I think he did something just way more subtle, makes it feel like it's complementary, but subtlety with the hand so he can sing more effectively at that part. That little yeah, yeah, yeah. So he does something to complement, but more like pedestrian. Everybody else has their weight more full, placing their weight more on the right side. Ding, ding, ding. Love that. Super fun. Moving it around, nice little snaps. Da, 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 da. Yes to that. Super fun. Then they take it, dun, dun, dun. So it writes that lyricism very well. Ding, 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 dee, dee, dee. Yes. And they bleed it through. Love that. Notice with my first guy, I think, what was it? Different levels? This is fine. Da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, so it's just everybody's nice and still except for those two. Bring it back in, and then from here, okay, everybody just dropped. It did look like that my second row went lower. I think, I hate to say this, I think it's because of their height was why it felt like they were a little bit lower, but everybody dropped to the same degree. So no, I'm not dogging on their height whatsoever. I just thought there was a particular level formation that took place, but that wasn't the case. But this is actually a brilliant example on being conscious and considerate of who's in the group, because you're focusing not only on symmetry in bodies, but symmetry of height. Most of the time for me, whenever I work on choreography in the studio space, I do that a ton. The first thing I do before I even start setting choreo is I make all my dancers get in height order. And what I do from there is I try to have proper mirrors, how I spread it out, whether I start from the back to the front to back, wherever, right to left. I want to make sure that it's mirrored if I want to create a nice symmetrical formation, regardless of how many people I have. Sometimes I have 5, sometimes I have 22. It just depends on the group. So in this case, I appreciate, because a lot of people don't do this, and I love it when you see it, because look, these guys are way more similar in height than if you had him mirroring him, right? But that's not the case. You have these two guys, so Moonbin and Eun-woo, they are mirroring each other because they're similar in height. And then you have these two guys, they're closer in height, and then you have these two guys closer in height. So it works. It's great. I love this. And that's why it's, you know, it even gave me the appearance of we have some level change happening. Who cares if that's not happening? Because it allows me to at least appreciate what's going on the symmetry side. God, it's so balanced. I love it. Melting it through, da 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 da, and then you have Unwoo transition. Nice little walk, everybody go boom, da-da-da-da, boom. Really nice, creates a nice little navigation for Unwoo. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. God bless America for that. But yeah, so he's just a nice little traffic pattern. Everybody else is traveling. You have a couple people going towards the back. Some are kind of moving to the front. He's going to the side. So you have about 2 people moving this way, 2 moving, oh, I couldn't even understand what I've just marked. 1 going this way, Unwoo going this way, 2 going this way, and 2 going this way. So that's why it feels more equal, because you have equal representation of people moving from one side to the other. So I like that. Really cool. And a nice little transition. Boom. Now I like this part where he pushes them over. Nice little footwork happening there. A little James Brown, if you want to know that. So it feels very fitting to this. It doesn't, I wouldn't quite go funk with it, but it definitely has an upbeat BPM. It has an upbeat timbre tonal color, so that means sound context, how the instruments they're using sound, and there's a lot of overlap and complementary to instruments in pitch and octave does and can influence emotional perception as well. They definitely have a very gregarious intention, meaning very happy, more on the joyful side, and they can show that in the music video, but I could tell based on how they're doing the choreography through texture. So what timbre is to musicians is what texture is to dancers. It kind of goes hand in hand. It's how something feels, you know, with the eyes. It's kind of a really good way I've heard it be called. It's not my words, don't take my word for it, but it is something I do use often because it's true. I think it's a really great way to word it. But I like the subtlety, boom, boom. I really like that choice. They bring it in, little boom, boom. Nice little action from our feature. He does a little hand. Everybody else just brushes it off. Love that choice. Head. And then you have, from your feature, he's in the center, but notice that you have one of them kind of cut in front, and it makes it frame slightly differently, even though they barely moved from the part before. So if you look here, it's very full. You can see he's right there in the center, but he's not closed in at all. And so you can see it when they hop in, he's still not closed in. Now he is, and it feels like we're framing him a little bit more effectively. That's impressive. I like it. Just a simple leg shootout really makes a difference there. And I think they all do a good job. They scuff it to the back. They bring it through little James Brown once again. So they're repeating what they did, but it feels different. Why? Because they're closer together in a clump. And you would normally assume that they're kind of having to condense the movement. They don't have to, because everybody's on the same page on how it needs to be executed and their spacing. So they know how to navigate those types of things. That's always an A+ in my book. I love seeing that. Nice little communal, little swing, swing, swing. Yeah, little conductor moment right there. That was super fun. Fun for him to be introduced here. Love it. So you have a little interaction with another performer. He goes, he runs away. Once again, we puzzle piece it again. They go to the back. Little tap, tap in the back, and a little rotation here. Everybody making their own choice, but the direction is very clear where they're going with it. Nice. Whoosh, where you just have my guy who's singing, he hits it, he has a more neutral position that's projecting more forward, more open, so that's why I want to see him, even though he is stopped the same degree that everybody else is. And just because he's singing doesn't mean you naturally want to look at him. You look because he has a very open posture compared to everybody else. Everybody else is obviously more diagonal or facing a significantly different way, and so he's the only one that feels the most approachable in where I want to look, right? And yes, he's more in the center, but he's not the only one. He's technically not the closest thing to the camera, you know, not thing. Oh my gosh, he's a human. Closest person. Golly, Jess. They're people, not things. Yes, they're nouns, but they're not a thing. They're a person. So you actually see Moonbin. He's technically closer, right? But why am I not wanting to look at him? He's wearing basically the same thing. It's because he's not looking at us. He's looking at us, but he's kind of looking close, right? But it's just like the mix of all the things that I just said of why you naturally want to look at him, not just because he's singing. There's always another reason outside of the obvious, right? Super cool. The melt right there is fun. That that was a fun transition. He moves. They go, wapa. Really like the stoicness of that. baby. I like that. So it does feel like we have a lot of our poses give some kind of gleaning to James Brown, Michael Jackson, you know, Prince, like that kind of era of performer, right? Specifically Michael Jackson, a lot of these movements, Janet, I mean, they're in the Jackson family, so they kind of complement with that. But my point is still that, right? I like it, and that's what really helps kind of cater towards that potential funk influence, but I don't think this is like a super funky track. There's some tonal colors that really help create a pocket, and that's where like a lot of jazz and funk styles, a pocket really helps. It's like the heartbeat. Like you don't really feel that in this type of track, hence why I'm not giving it the funk style, but it could. I mean, who knows, you know? Maybe it could. We'll see. But anyway, I like that little kick. They take it, nice little rotation. So they pick up the feet to really create a nice little glide of the foot to slide back in. Really subtle. Like the little baby. I love that. It's just like, come here, you know. So for me, in America, we say, hey, come here, and we do this. But I do know in other countries, this is more appropriate. And so that's what I'm equating this to is baby is like, hey, come here and be with us. You know, it's kind of like that more so than come here. Because this is more like if you're talking to a dog in other countries, but to us it's like we do many different things in America. I can only really attest to my country. But anyway, moving on from there, that's what that reminds me of. They take it, they do a little omoplate, so they do a little scoop of the leg, reverse, they expand it out, they bring it and point to the front. Really nice. They're doing a great job. At least the height is pretty close. This is a very full movement, so I'm not super like forcing them. They got to be clean even in the tuck. Yes, it's going to make it that crisp, like super crisp and clean routine, but remember they're humans and they're not robots and they're not clones either. So just like with 17 or the boys or other groups that are known for synchronicity, I did hear that ASTRO was known for that too, and their intricacies in their choreography. I don't quite know if that's what it is, but you let me know. I'm always wanting to learn what the role or what a group is known for. I just heard that as a thing. I don't know if that is an actual thing, but I can definitely tell they're very clean. But just like with 17 and with the boys, with all of them, even they, like 17, even they don't have all of their height in check either, and that's fine. You kind of pick your battles in terms of what's going to be really clean or what needs to be the focal point. The focal point is everybody's stoicness in the upper body and everybody picking up their feet in the lower body. Now, is everybody picking up their feet the exact same rate and the exact same placement? No. But because of what they're doing, it's a transition. It's not just a pickup, right? So the focal point is actually the transition to turn. How they land to rotate is more of a focal point than how they tuck their feet in the transition. So it's knowing what the focal point is, and that's what navigates what you need to focus on to clean it. So you just got to pick your battles sometimes. Taking it here, diddy, boom. I like that choice where they bring it up and he hits it. Yeah. Fun. And then they take it and they branch it through and they take it. They're like, hey, come here. And they take a nice little slap of the heel to really drop down once again. Really fun here, and swing it through. They have a nice little slide with the feet. Subtlety of the head. Oh my gosh, stop making it go twice the speed. Let's appreciate it. Okay. Diving it in. I like that slide with the pull through. Once again, notice that they had a slide forward just a little bit, similar to whenever we saw the head get involved with this beginning placement. We get to see that the slide was established earlier in the course. So seeing it here feels complementary or an expansion off of a fingerprint that we saw earlier. So I love it. It's complementary. That's why. Love it. We take it through. Once again, a little head iso subtlety really helps complement what we've done earlier. Little tap. He goes over, da-da-da-da, and they all present, those two, and then you have another two that present, but notice my guy in the back didn't move at all. Makes sense because he's not committed to either one side, and you have one of them that is moving to both sides. So it makes it feel balanced because of absent of movement from one, movement on both sides with somebody else, and then you have two represent one side. Love that. Bring it in. Oh! Click. Love that right here. And they bring it up, nice little watch and it's nice that it's a loose fist because we saw a loose fist in the tapping in the beginning. Then he has a nice little slap that click, and they bring it up. So this is a little moment where they make it a little, not fixed point, I wouldn't call it that, I almost said it, but they take it, these arms and they're expanded out and they drop down. It feels complementary. It's similar to it's like a seesaw, you know, whatever comes up, the other part goes down. This goes up at the same rate that this goes down. It feels like they're connected. I really like that kind of, not pulley, maybe pulley system or something like that. Nice little pull, little twinkle. Can't go wrong with the twinkle. hitting it through, ding, 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 and you know how they're branching it up. It's nice and cute. It's that I think that's like an electronic kind of piano and sound production, right? It's not a grand piano or anything like that. It's a, you know, it's like a little keyboard, and you can put different sounds on it. It's cute. So how they're playing it, that da 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 da, they're playing on the pitch like that. And they do a nice little subtlety. Notice they flick it up and then they make it a nice tension moment as they drop down. Hitting it through a nice little shake, shake. They go nice little shake, shake with the hands. Dropping it down, great tension. So something I'm noticing with this choreography is that you notice after a feature is done, they walk around and they either puzzle piece themselves back in or they just join in during a pose or a transition. So that is kind of an overlap. I'm curious if they end up doing this formula-wise, if they use the same choreographer. I'm not quite sure who the choreographer is. I like what they're doing because it looks great on the track. I don't know if they have people that come in and puzzle piece choreo. I'm assuming that this was during a time where that wasn't as much of a thing as it is now. So I'm going to assume it is one choreographer for this. And I don't know if it's a resident one, meaning that they have worked with the same person for an extended period of time. I would not be surprised if that was the case because they are very, very clean and they look very natural, all of them doing this choreo. So I'm assuming it's either a genre that they have become very familiar with, or it is a choreographer that they are very familiar with movement quality wise. So you guys let me know, but that's what I'm gleaning from this. This is so fun. This is just really fun to look at. Anyway, the da-da, and then branch it up, that dee-dee. Fun. Very simple. Hitting it through, notice everybody goes over using the chest and using the head to create a nice accent and moment over there. And Moonbin's the only one that does one hand. And he's the closest one to us. Even though he's not center, it's easy for us to see that he is our feature in that moment. Feels very conversational. He's the only one also that didn't drop. So he goes up, nice little presentation. Everybody else either is right behind him or they're framing their body diagonally to the outside. So it's a beautiful frame without getting close. Cool. They take it through. I like too that you have three of them pose. My guy in the very back, you get to see a little peekaboo moment where he's peekabooing through where movement is. And then you have two right here that are doing the add-on. So I actually really like the fact that we have three that are frozen. And then we have two that are doing the add-on. Normally you would see my front two guys do the add-on with him and everybody else frozen. So this was a really fun choice because it makes it feel more like a popcorn effect, which I like. Cool. Like a little surprise moment. I like the little kick. That was fun. And then everybody joins right back in. They picking it up. You do notice, like in that little case, Anu did not really pick up his foot there. So subtle. But once again, I appreciate that everybody's on a bevel. If we're talking squeaky clean, like this is the kind of stuff you would look at if you want something to be like unrealistically clean. Notice where everybody's placing their weight. Some of them are really pressing into the ball of the foot. Some of them are just allowing the toe to just tap at the top. That would be the kind of stuff that you would want people to establish, because what happens is if everybody's weight is subtly different, how they get in and out of movements is going to also be different. And that's the kind of stuff that separates those that are really, really, really robotic clean, really clean, and cleanish, and we're here for a good time. Like that's like a big difference, is how deep do you want to go when you clean something? I don't think that's something, I mean, who cares the difference between these two? It doesn't really matter, especially with what they're doing before and after, but sometimes that could matter depending on what they do. Now here in this case, yeah, he steps out because all they do here is they don't have to be on that foot. They just reestablish the foot and a kick. So that's why the weight placement there isn't as big of a difference as in comparison if from this position they were going into a shamrock or going into a backslide or something, right? So this is a good feature from Moonbin, and then everybody goes, and notice he walks away, and then you have your group of five. Now this part right here, I know this came out way before Gotta Music, but Gotta Music went da 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 ba da 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 da. I like the head syncopation for that. In this case, this one, I love it for a completely different reason. Because of how they're doing this texturally. If you want to be curious, go look at the difference. So like with 17s, theirs very clear, da 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 da, and they have horns to justify it in that percussion. Here in this case, it feels more, oh, you know, it's just like, it's a true vibe, but they're still isolated enough to where everybody's allowed individual choices, but it makes you be able to appreciate the fact that everyone's making such a subtly different choice with the head. So this part right here is just so fun. He snaps, so like they go boom, 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 and then they all freeze so he can have that snap moment to get a transition over to the other side. I just really like that. That was really fun. Now this part, that part I freaking love. It looks so good here. You couldn't appreciate it on a moving cam, but you can really appreciate it here. Let's go back and look at it. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 bum. now da da na 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 na. So he goes, each person creates a nice moment. You don't realize what he's doing until he hits about right here and here. So this guy, kudos to him for really setting it up. That's really important because it helps us realize by the time we get here. So now, and they also have to make sure that they understand the angles click, and it looks like everybody's doing the same thing. But then this is a, oh my gosh, it's not a, oh, there's a name for this. It's not a, maybe it's a specific type of cannon, not a sporadic cannon. It's not a drop out. It's like you drop out of a unison section. Does that make sense? I think is the best way to word it. There is a name for it. Oh, I can't believe I can't remember, but everybody does all of it. He just stops after the first move. He has to do all of it except for the, you know, the very last move of what our feature does. But he stops here. He has to commit to that. When he pans it out, he's going to stop. And then the last move, he's going to stop. So I love it. It's literally like 2 counts, but it's so freaking dope. This part is so dope because it's complementary. So it goes boom, 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 boom. So choreographically, it has to make sense in theory, but also it makes a beautiful frame of your feature at the end of it. It's just so fun. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, is that right there. And then the pulsing on that, da-na-na, then he pushes back, da-na-na, and he goes, and they swing to reverse it a little bit. Now they're all facing separate ways, and he's the only one in the front. Then they all turn, and then they kind of like look behind and they do a nice little head nod. Super cute. That's another little squeaky clean thing. Some of them have a little bit out, some have it a little bit closer. That would be something to look at too, but it doesn't matter. It looks great. I like that little tap. Once again, we're building up very similarly that we did before. Different formation though, which I like. Turning it through, I love that turn. Notice that some of them keep their leg up. It's not a passe. A passe is a connection of the foot to the knee. Here, they just lift the foot up. So it's just a nice little turn. I always suggest if you're going to do a turn, in order to maintain balance, is try to think about placing your weight underneath the big toe and index toe on the ball of the foot. That's going to be where most dancers, when they balance, that's where you're going to be the most successful in holding it down consistently, because the more you ride closer to the pinky, the more susceptible your foot is to sickling, which creates, if this is my foot, this is where I have it. If I put my weight here, I'm going to want to fall. Like, I'm not going to be as consistent, and it's going to create a sickle when you're on releve. But they're not technically on releve, which is like a rise, but I digress. I'm just saying in general, when you see a turn, that's where you're going to be the most consistent and successful, is by placing your weight around that segment of the ball of the foot. The turn right there, nice little kick to finish. Now, I do think one of them also did it. Was it didn't tab it through the turn. Oh, it was so subtle. He just it looked like he kind of marked it a little bit. It's fine. It's a dance practice. It looked awesome in the performance shot. So none of these things that I'm pointing out are like, oh, they need to fix that. It's just observation, things that I notice of, yeah, he marked it a little bit there. It doesn't matter. Not really. It's a dance practice. We're here for a good time. In the performance version, I didn't catch it. I'm looking at it at a 0.75. Of course, I'm going to catch more, but there's just beauty, and we can appreciate the things that are clean, and understanding why certain things don't have to be as clean is because it doesn't matter on where you're looking anyway, right? So anyway, I digress. From there, upper body looks nice. They bring it up. So of course that range looks a lot nicer. Some of them did keep their arm up a little bit more than others. He goes, nice high note. They're all listening in like, what? High note. Okay. It's giving that energy, which I really like. Oh yeah. I like that, baby. They're branching it through again. Really fun. Little kick, and he's the only one, because I'm assuming singability, he's going to be set up more for success if he's not having to hop and do it. Everybody else does. He stays the natural feature. That's a win-win. Once again, hitting it through. Ding, 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 ding. Nice little kick there. Super fun. Hitting it through. Once again, nice little crossover. Turning it around. Looks, guys. Ding, 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 ding. Subtlety with the yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that. Baby kick, and then they drop down. Once again, my guy didn't really drop down. He's our feature in singing, so it makes sense that he wants to stay a little bit more lifted. Then we have a little baby, so they take the feet, little cha, and a cha, nice little slide on that. Subtlety, once again. Love that transition with your two to the other sides, having your two in the outside stay where they are and still do the choreo. It's a nice little visual change, but not having to do everybody moving to a new spot. Keeping your feature featured because he's framed by the transition. Love it. Oh, that little, oh, love the build up, looks fun. Moving over to the side, then you have a nice little conversational moment. They're all over. That's it. This is Moonbin's hype boys over here. They're like, hey, what's going on? He goes, hey. They're presenting out. Love that choice. Subtlety, the switch over right here, the da-doon, da-doon. Notice that I think this is what the movement's supposed to be. You see a couple of them do it. Notice placement though. Some of them have their hand on their hip, some have it down. I do appreciate the intention of what that's supposed to be, because this, notice where my fingers are, this and this are different. One has the accent on the finger on the shoulder, another one has the whole hand placed down. How your shoulder engages does determine this. So a little baby rotational stuff. I really do appreciate that we know exactly what this is supposed to be. Cool. Hitting it through. Oh yeah, and I like how they projected their energy over to the side, because it was really easy to clock a new feature because he came from that exact side. We were naturally looking energy-wise. Cool. The subtlety of the head moving forward. I love that, to kind of look like they're following what he's doing or where he's at. Nice little subtlety. Ooh, love that. And they branch it out. Bana, bana. And the reason why that works too is a lot of times you see people be still and then you have your feature, but I really appreciate that they were moving subtly there, is because you heard all these harmonies. And so having them match the harmony, it feels, you know, more collective, because it's a collective sound. It's not just one person singing. There's other things that are backing this singing to make it feel more complementary. So their movement complemented the feature. I love it when choreographers do that, because it feels like we're really listening to our music. And it makes me appreciate it so much more. Turning it around, dropping it down, I love that boom. And a hey, that's fun. Super fun. Little upsaw, yay! Subtlety on this part, and he goes upsaw. We've seen this a couple times now, where our feature is going to do an accent and they're going to throw their head or move their head to a particular position. I like that a lot. And the subtlety, once again, notice they're still until he hits it or he does something that causes a response from them. There's also no extra sounds outside of your vocalist or your rapper that justifies them all making a different choice, because there's no sound to justify it or tone. Yeah, so they're complimenting what he's doing and physically because of the conversation that's being had. Love it. The slow walks around. Some people are walking a little bit faster. They're in their spot, nice and stoic. I like the subtlety there, and you have one of them turn. Oh wait, I think that was just to get in a spot. Once again, he's nice and chill. Everyone's kind of existing. Subtlety, once again, boom, boom, head, head. Yes, simple yet effective. And notice they don't move until he moves past them. I appreciate that, and it makes a lot of practice too, because some of them move and they have to make sure they know at what point that feature is moving past them, because if he moves too early, then it's going to ruin the visual. So that means that he has to make sure that at a certain part, whoever your feature is has to make sure he's in the right spot or traveling near the right person at a given time, because they're going off of what's happening vocally, not off of watching, because they can't watch because there's no way, because there's no mirror there. And when you're performing on stage, you don't really have a mirror to help reference anyway. So I digress. I like that. Subtle but effective. Love it. The little look, looks great. Da-da-da. I like how he took it and he dropped it down. Look what happened to the heads. The heads dropped down. Felt very complimentary. And then they all slowly come back up. Hitting it through, love that, da-da-da, da-da-da. And now we're going to the last chorus. Normally, people modify or it's subtly different. Here, it's more energy. Bless them. Lots of jumps. Yes, the crossover, baby. Notice that their range or their actual pickup of the feet. Let me see if I can catch it. Do you notice this is way closer than the other one I stopped at? Why? This one is a not stationary, but you're not rotating it to where it's a transition. This is the focal point. The jump is the move that you want to focus on. And so the twisting is happening in the upper body, but the lower body, we have to make sure we're closer, which is what you obviously see. At least 5 out of 6 have that crossover to a T. And then one of them, yes, there's more separation, but he's more centered, so it's a little bit easier to kind of get away with. But that's the kind of difference, and that was my point that I made earlier. This is an example of why having the right leg in the right spot is important, whereas the other one, not so much, because this is the move that you're supposed to focus on. I love that right there, the little hit, and then right here, this arm is up, and it complements the rotation of what's going on with the leg. Super fun hitting it through, and I like little accent. It matches what we did earlier, but it feels more stylized and more full in range. Why? Because our kinesphere is coming into play. We're using way more of it in a lot of our choices. Notice it's more full in energy and more full in range. Love it. The turn right there is really nice, and it's more of a coupe position than a passe position, which the first one wasn't really, but notice it was a more harsher angle of the leg the first time. Here it's more of a coupe, a little not a compass turn, but like that kind of turn. So it's easier to kind of navigate around collectively. Switching through, I love that right there. And then immediately they tap, do a little toe tap, and then they chug that leg to make it a nice little yoo-hoo, or oh my gosh, Michael Jackson moment. This is it, right? Cool. Little Ranajam, they clap, Ranajam, so much going on. Like, I'm talking, like, I haven't stopped talking. 0.75, this is a lot in a great way. Super fun. They make it look so easy. It doesn't look simple. It does look simpler than other polyrhythmic complex choreos, but simple does not mean easy ever. A lot of this, what makes this tricky is the weight shifts and probably the direction changes, as well as being able to have a certain type of posture and texture representation with 5 other people. Do you know what I mean? When you're doing it by yourself, that's one thing. When you have to make sure you're on the same page in the right spot, doing the correct transition and the correct timing with other people involved, more people, more things to navigate and troubleshoot. So this is mad impressive, and I'm really, really happy that we're looking at this. Chris, you're so cool. Thank you for this recommendation. From here, I like the little chug action. They take it, keep that arm nice and strong. They go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice little head action. Nice little subtlety with the shoulders to transition. They take it. Look at that hop. Boom. That was another moment. Look. Very, very clean in how they jumped. Even though it is a turn, because it's a simpler jump, you can be on the same page on. Really fun. Nice little Indian step. That's like a little top rock you saw from breaking, like la la la. And also how they're finishing it. That's why it kind of gives off that energy too. Little pull through, really nice, more individualized in that moment. Little shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Yeah, and notice everybody's making obviously different choice. Most of them do have their hands down. So if I were to give any observational notes, notice that one of them's making a different choice than everybody else. But good chance that in the choreography video, I didn't really notice that as much. So good chance that this was just a dance practice thing. That's fine. Who cares? It's great. They've showcased competency and synchronicity. So it's not like they're sacrificing that for the sake of, oh, we can't be clean here, so we're going to just look different. No, I know they can. I think this is an active choice and difference in how they want to pursue the personality in this moment. And that's something that is always impressive, and I'm always really happy to see in a group. Walk it through, dun, da, da, dun. I like that. Once again, dun, da, dun, dun. And they expand out. They're having a nice little kai bai bow moment. It does remind me of what we saw in the very beginning of the dance practice, where they did a whole kai bai bow, rock, paper, scissors. Who gets to be the stand-in in the middle? And I noticed that 2 of the guys put theirs in the back. That is really funny. They literally said, just because we're not in the very front doesn't mean we can not shine. They shine. I see them. I see you. Anyway, but that is just a thing that's really funny. Really fun, and notice the formation is really nice. It's mirrored. You have people that are complementary in height, which is nice, except for our center, but that's okay. It's still really fun to enjoy. Bring it back in. Now we're back to a little V, but it's not quite a V because you still have, it's your 3 groups, but instead of it being with the, like, one in the back and then on the sides, they changed their partners too, and that was a really clean way to do it, into you have it more of, you know, you still have your 3 groups. It does feel like a V, but not quite. It feels like an expanded little M situation, which is cool. It's cool. It's so subtle. That transition was really cool. Little pas de bourrée right here into a beautiful V. Little snaps, and then we move and move. Nice little tap, tap, tap. Right here into a straight line. Now, this is another case where I would say out of all of the choreography, this section is the one where I see the most like positioning differences with the members when they're supposed to be together. This case, notice that a lot of them have the diagonal, but then you have a lot of them nice and spaced out, you know, so that would be my note if I were to clean this, and if this had to be clean, which it is pretty clean, so you can be very gracious to this, as I am. You know, this would be something where I would have them move their foot up and have everybody on this line equally spaced. But you can only do so much. This is a one take, and we're going to appreciate it because it's awesome. And I just, yeah, it's so fun. Did a great job. Nice little swing part of that. And this one, it does feel more communal, like this type of swing. I think is more forgiving depending on where you're swinging. As long as they're all going the same direction, who cares where their foot placement is? That just affects what the torso looks like there on whether you see a diagonal portion of it or if you see it full front. So, probably a little snap. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing in the upper body, hence why it makes total sense why it's okay for everybody to have different lower body too. Everyone's swinging the same way. That's what matters. The focal point is everybody's movement energy, but not making it all squeaky clean. Sometimes there's beauty in the individuality, which is what we see here. So I have no qualms with it. It looks great. little pot of your ready to finish it out. Now look, right here, nice and clean. I can appreciate this a lot, and it does feel like we're in height order just a smidge. I mean, would I flip-flop these two guys? Maybe. But it could be because Moonbin has his head tilted, but I do appreciate the little height there. Bring it through, and they go da-da-da-da, and I like how we finish. Super fun. Now, do they start that way? No, they don't. They start with their head down, but they finish like this. I like that. It's a nice little snap, complimentary. Some of them have it right here at the wrist. Some have it right down here. I don't mind it. It looks great. My assumption is it's going to be hanging out right here by like right underneath the wrist. It's not on the wrist, but right underneath it. That's so minimal. It looks great. I'm very impressed with this. This was really fun, and what a fun start for me looking at Astro. Thank you, Chris, for the recommendation. If you want to be like Chris, I have a tier on my Patreon called In the Pocket tier where you're guaranteed a reaction every single month. And I love it because I am able to watch things either at an expedited time rate because I do marathons every month, and so sometimes I have to wait on a group until they win a marathon or it's requested. So I'm so happy I got to look at Astro today because of that. If you want in on it, Patreon is there for that, but if you're okay with just seeing what comes out on YouTube every day, I'm here for that too, and I'm excited for the discussions for this both on Patreon and YouTube. Once again, my name is Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.